for the courage I possess through the drama. H is for the hurt, but it's all for the honor. A is for my attitude, working through the patience. Money comes and goes, so the M is for motivation. Gotta stay consistent, the P is to persevere. The I is for integrity, innovative career. The O is optimistic, open and never shut. And the N is necessary, cause I'm never giving up. See, they ask me how I did it, I just did it from the heart. Crushing the competition, been doing it from the start. They say that every champion is all about his principles. Carry.
I am invincible, unbreakable, unstoppable, unshakable. They knock me down, I get up again. I am the champion. You're gonna dominate. You can't hurt me now. I can't feel the pain. I was made for this. Yeah, I was born to win. I am the champion.
Surpassed all rivals. It's all about who wants it the most. Fight for what we believe in. That's what champions are made of.
When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. When I grew up and fell in love, I asked my sweetheart what lies ahead. Will we have rainbows day after day? Here's what my sweetheart said. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Now I have children of my own. They ask their mother, what will I be? Will I be handsome? Will I be rich? I tell them tenderly. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Que sera, sera.
Karibuni Kenya, ni nchi najua. Jambo jambo bwana, jambo jambo rafiki. Karibuni Kenya, ni nchi najua. Jambo jambo bwana, jambo jambo rafiki. Kuja twende safari, tukaone wanyama, simba na wenzake wakilia. Karibuni Kenya, ni nchi ya jua. Jambo jambo bwana, jambo jambo rafiki.
I'm going to be live on the hosting the Dr. Mukeshbhai Batra from India. ¿Qué va a estar?
Simba na wenzake wakilia, karibuni Kenya, ni nchi ya jua. Jambo jambo bwana, jambo jambo rafiki, jambo jambo rafiki, jambo jambo rafiki. We're all going on a summer holiday. No more working for a week or two. Fun and laughter on a summer holiday. No more worries for me or you for a week or two. We're going where the sun shines brightly. We're going where the sea is blue. We've seen it in the movies. Now let's see if it's true. Everybody has a summer holiday, doing things they always wanted to. So we're going on a summer holiday to make our dreams come true. For me and you. We're going where the sun shines brightly. We're going where the sea is blue. We've seen it in the moon.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to start. Dr. Batra is trying to log in, and unfortunately, as Meera, myself, we were having some network issues. He's just called me and said there is some network
He's
issues.
already
He's trying his best to log in, and let's just give him a few minutes. He said he's trying his best to get
He's
some backup
there.
and
I
make
think,
sure even the
Lalita,
backup has
he's
failed
there.
right now.
He's
Apparently, there's some rainy season in India, which is not helping the network very much. Oh, I think he's logged in. Wonderful, wonderful. So I think we have him. So absolutely, Meenaben, he's logged in. Is that correct?
Yes, is.
So big apologies for a little delay in starting today's program. A warm welcome, a global welcome to all the audience joining us today from all over the world, from India, from the United States, from Canada, from Australia, from Europe, and from Africa, Kenya, as absolutely. So a global welcome to all of you to this amazing, wonderful Zoom session, 13 bloody good ways to get healthy. Okay, this event is sponsored and actually supported by the Asian Foundation of Kenya, of which we have a few representatives. We have the chairperson, we have the CEO, and we also have the founder member. The chairperson, Mr. Hasubhai Devani, is with us. CEO
Welcome.
Meera Pandit is with us. And also, I believe the founder member of Asian Foundation, Mr. Manubhai Chandaria, if he hasn't logged in, will be logging in very shortly. So once again, we have a super amazing personality with us. I just want to make sure, Dr. Batra, are you with us? Can you give me a hello, please? Dr. Batra, are you with us? Is he unmuted, Meenaben?
No, he's muted. Yeah,
You
okay.
have to unmute. Yeah, here I am back here.
Okay, we need it. Wonderful, wonderful. So stay on board over there, Dr. Batra. We'll just want to go through a few formalities to first of all introduce our speaker of the day. We have a few formalities where our chairperson of the Asian Foundation will be welcoming you warmly. We have our CEO of the Asian Foundation, Meera Pandit, is also going to be welcoming you. So we'll start off first with introducing Dr. Batra, an amazing personality. His synonymous name, Dr. Batra, and homeopathy. You can't separate the two. The man behind his brand, Dr. Mukeshbhai Batra, has got a whole lot of qualifications with him. He is the FHMA, which he did it in UK, FSRH, he has got, that was from the London University, MDH from the United States of America, and he's got his FBIH in the United Kingdom. He's a homeopath internationally recognized, a pioneering entrepreneur who has revolutionized homeopathy across the globe over the last 40 years. Dr. Batra is the founder, chairman, and managing director of the Dr. Batra's group of companies, which encompasses the world's largest of the chains of homeopathic clinics, daycare aesthetic centers, and health and wellness products. Dr. Batra envisions extending wellness and care to 10 million patients by the year 2020. Venturing beyond borders, Dr. Batra has played a stellar role in legalizing homeopathy in Mauritius. In the Middle East, he has succeeded in establishing the first ever corporate homeopathic clinic in Oman. In England, Dr. Batra's clinic is the only homeopathic health center corporate to find a spot in that sacred hub of medical excellence in the Harley Street of London. Well, he's going to be sharing a lot of tips with us and a lot of information about homeopathy. Dr. Batra is also very well known for his charitable and philanthropic work. Today, he is going to be surprising us with one of his talents that he's going to share with us online. A little man, however, he moves mountains. Believe you me, if you see him, Dr. Batra, my apologies, he's probably 5 foot tall. But this young man, I would like to say, moves and has moved mountains. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Dr. Batra with a loud ovation to welcome a young man from India logging in with us, sharing his health tips. So Dr. Batra, just a few minutes, I'm going to introduce this lovely lady, Meera Pandit, who is going to be introducing you as a CEO of the Asian Foundation. So Meera is with us and she would love to welcome you first. Meera, Dr. Batra in the audience, you have to know this lovely, beautiful lady. It's just not beauty, but it's talent that goes with beauty here. Meera Pandit is a humanitarian and a philanthropist and a social worker, a lovely lady, driven individual with an enthusiastic personality, a humanitarian with experience in multitude of lead roles concerned with promoting human welfare. Since 2015, Meera has continued to work currently as the CEO of the Asian Foundation Kenya, a CSO, passionately promoting societal reform and welfare, focusing on philanthropy and development. Her career graph has led her to be actively involved with the diplomatic corporations. She represented embassies as the lead intragovernmental focal point to the United Nations Environmental Program and United Nations Human Settlement Program, focusing on environmental sustainability and rural-urban housing. She represents the foundation at the UNHCR Statelessness Group. She is the focal point on statelessness issues. She represented the Asian Foundation at the headquarters in Geneva. And she heavily remains involved in the global program called #IBelong campaign. Meera is a super awesome human being working selflessly towards a better world. Meera, I welcome you to this platform today, and I would request you From the Asian Foundation, if you could give a warm word of welcome to Dr. Mukesh Batra.
Thank you so much, Lalit Bhai, for that really kind and generous introduction. I mean, I feel like I'm floating. Thank you so much. First of all, hello to everybody joining in globally. A hearty welcome to Dr. Batra. I'd also like to recognize the chairman of Asian Foundation, Hasabai, who will be addressing us towards the end of the program. From all of us at the Asian Foundation, the management committee and all its members, we really hope and pray that you and your loved ones are keeping well and safe and coping the best you can during this testing time. Before I continue, just a bit of, am I audible, first of all? Are we good to go? Okay, all right, great. For those joining us for the first time, a little brief about Asian Foundations. For those who've been there, I'm sorry, it's going to be repetitive. So Asian Foundation is a very low profile organization because we choose to be. We're a non-political, non-profit and non-religious based organization, but we do extensive work on the grassroots level and have been doing it since 1988. In a nutshell, the ethos of Asian Foundation, we transform lives and by extension communities through philanthropy. So that encompasses almost everything. Why? Because we like to serve. One of our founding chairmen, Dr. Manachandarya, who will be joining us later on, would be more than happy to shed light on why we started this foundation. Few main areas of focus of Asian Foundation is in medical, education, vocational training, mentorship. We host legal clinics pro bono on citizenship and immigration, land matters led by Senior Counsel Mr. Rebello. In that, we have an arm that deals with stateless people, working with the government of Kenya, other CSOs and UN organizations, trying to get citizenship for those who don't have it. And I'd like to appeal for people watching today, or if you know of anyone who is stateless, please do contact me. I will be leaving our contact details in the chat a bit later on. And I forgot to mention it last time as well, but it's an extremely important cause, and we have a lot of support from the government of Kenya and UN agencies and the Asian community itself, and we'd like to take this forward. We also have a heritage program and project we're working on. We joined hands 2 years ago with the Asian African Heritage Trust for the Sai Memorial, Chandaria Foundation, and I'm actually proud to say that we have an entire gallery dedicated at the National Museums of Kenya on the journey of Asians into Kenya to date. So we're super excited to open doors, and hopefully it'll be soon. And I'm sure everyone who visits will be touching their hearts. Coming back to today's topic, health, the most important. I mean, I think it's now a topic talked about daily, and homeopathy. So whilst growing up, obviously being an Asian and being, well-rooted and proud and being an Indian, I always assumed it came from India until I was corrected, and then realized that it was birthed in Germany. Now, homeopathy, we were discussing it 2 days ago, and it's quite, well, it's like a double-edged sword. Few of my friends and family swear by it and are hardcore followers and will not budge in their opinion. There are two schools of thought. The second class, however, and yes, I do have a lot of medical fraternity members in it, feel statistics and numbers don't prove so. Now, I'm sure Dr. Batra has heard this and more, and it's not a challenge, but we at Asian Foundation definitely find it interesting, and we look forward to be educated by you on your perspective of homeopathy. Having said that, from my heart to everyone else, we wish you well and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Meera, for the generous introduction of Asian Foundation. And if you don't mind, currently people who are logged in can get your details on the Zoom chat box if you want to do that. And following that, what we will do is while it's being live streamed, we'll update on the social media the details of the Asian Foundation, if you may pass that on too. So thank you very much. Dr. Batra, you are coming on live. Just before you come on live, we have today's lovely lady, the lady who's passionate about spreading information through the globe, the lady who wants to do selfless service for the humanity. And that lady resides in a small flamingo town of Nakuru in Kenya. And she is connecting with people all over the globe. Her name, she's none other than Meena Ben Kagram, would then finally welcome you and will start our program after she's welcomed you in her own traditional way. Meena Ben, shall we have you on?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. First of all, I would like to introduce my husband. Here he is.
I'm Ramesh Kagram.
And Ellie here, who is helping me. And where is Mukeshbhai? I can't see him. Say hi to me so I can do something.
I'm here. I think lost in the crowd.
Mukeshbhai, this is for you. Heart from. And
Thank you.
thank you. This is Tilak for you, Mukeshbhai, and Akshay, and then a little Aarti for you. Lovely roses from my garden. And there is one special thing that I would like to show you is for you is it's for you. Welcome, Mukeshbhai. It was nice speaking with you. Now I will introduce. Give me a minute. You give me 1 second. I have to tell my husband to go away from here. He should. Okay, here I am. Global Namaste and welcome to all. Jambo, Karibu, welcome to all of you on a beautiful flamingo town of Nakuru. Mukeshbhai, I know you have been here. I'm just excited today that Dr. Batra have accepted our invitation and address us on homeopathy and give us inspiring speech. When I called Dr. Batra, who I saw first time, he was smiling and he was humming. And I think he was practicing his songs. So I said, Mukeshbhai, I sing. Really? I sing with the band, he says. So here, I didn't say much, but I saw his eyes sparkling because he doesn't go band everywhere. He does it for the older people in old people's home, and he sings to everybody and makes them happy. And that, Mukeshbhai, you took my heart. You are such a divine person. I really, really impressed what you do. I hope the world will be peaceful if we have people like you. Ladies and gentlemen, now it is my humble duty to introduce the backbone of this session, Dr. Lalit Soda, my little cousin. Dr. Soda is chiropractic in London, England. He is also a public speaker, just like Meera, in profession, and conducts many events as MC in corporate levels. He has authored a book on Pushti Marg. This is his book written by him. And he lectures freely on faith. At moment, he is international guest speaker in Zoom. Dr. Lalit is a Kenyan boy, Mukeshbhai, right from here. He has many friends here. He has multi-talents and can do multitask at one time. Just like Gandhiji, who used to write with two hands. Over to you, Lalit Bhai.
Thank you, Meena Ben. That's too generous an introduction for me, but thank you very much. Without taking much of your time, the audience is ready to listen to our guest speaker, Mukeshbhai. A warm welcome to you and thank you for honoring our invitation on behalf of the Asian Foundation, on behalf of Hasubhai Devani, who you're going to be meeting very shortly, a super gentleman that you want to meet, and our lovely Meera Pandit and our Meena Ben. So without further ado, we have our Mukeshbhai Batra to start his conversation. Mukeshbhai, we'll let you talk a little bit. We want to make this a very interactive one. I know that. So as soon as you finish, you share some secrets about what your talents are. So Mukeshbhai, there you go. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Lalit. And a global namaste to everybody and Jambo to all of you there. And a very, very warm welcome to all the members of the Asian Foundation. Thank you, Meera. Thank you, Meena, for all the wonderful words, for the traditional welcome that you gave me. I really value it very, very much. And I think to reciprocate, what I'd like to do is I'd like to hum two lines before we start this program from one of the good old songs of Muhammad Rafi. And I think I see so many pretty women over here that I'd like to dedicate this number to all of them. आपके हसीन रुख पे आज नया नूर है मेरा दिल मचल गया तो मेरा क्या कसूर है आपकी निगाह में कहा तो कुछ जरूर है मेरा दिल मचल गया तो मेरा क्या कसूर है There's a saying which says उनके आने से आती है चेहरे पे रौनक उनके आने से आती है चेहरे पे रौनक वो सोचते हैं बीमार का हाल अच्छा है So I think this is really what good company does. And I'm so happy to be here among all of you today. Such wonderful people. And Lalit, you too. And what can I say? When you have a doctor in the house and that too, two of them, I think we can all cheer up and smile. So let's look forward to a wonderful interactive session. And let me just say that I'm not really going to talk about homeopathy, but I'll take questions on it. The subject of my talk is really 13 steps to bloody good health. And it's really how we should keep fit and how we should keep healthy. And we'll kind of focus on that first, and then we'll take questions and, happy to talk about homeopathy as well. Yeah, over to you, Lalit.
Thank you very much, Dr. Batra. Now, we'll go straight into the conversation because I think everybody's waiting to listen to yourself. What we would love to know is you have authored many books. And you have recently authored this lovely book, 13 Bloody Good Ways to Good Health. Can you share your journey on becoming an author, what inspired you, and the books that you have written? And then we'll ask you a few more questions on the current book.
Well, thank you, Lalit. I started writing, my first book came out in 1981. And, that was really ages ago. And that was called Every Man's Guide to Homeopathy. And of course, the book went into 5, reprints ultimately over the years. And then I've written quite a few other books as well, but all of them have been on homeopathy. A few years ago, I kind of, Ashwin is a family friend and he's a very well-known writer. and he does a series on 13 steps. So he used to write, he's carried his first book on 13 steps was 13 steps to bloody good luck. And then he wrote a book on 13 steps to bloody good wealth, So he would take domain experts and then he would rewrite, stories and then convert that into a book. So when I met him, I told him, I said, you've written on wealth, but, without health, you can't have wealth. It's of no use. You can have all the money in the bank, but if you're not healthy and you're going to be bedridden, you can't enjoy it. So you must have something to do with health. And I said, you've also written about luck, but health is not about luck. Health is self-governed. You have to earn it. You have to, work towards it. So with that thought, we then started writing, and it took us 1.5 years. We put lots of thoughts together, and we then came up with this book, 13 Steps to Bloody Good Health, which was printed by Westland about 1.5 years ago in January 2019. We've already crossed 30,000 copies. We are going to come out with an edition in Gujarati as well. It was among the top 10 books in India in non-fiction, for some time. And I'm just happy that, people can actually read it or learn from it. So today we'll talk a little bit about, how we can stay healthy, and not necessarily through medication. How can we stay healthy without medication? And I think that's really going to be the subject of our talk. And I like to say, the thought really came across earlier is that, inside every older person is a younger person wondering what he did wrong, and what happens is that we get old too fast, but we become wise too late, So really, it is this kind of complex in the mind. So why don't we start young? Why don't we start now? Why don't you make sure that we take control of our life and our health, and that we then start these baby steps to good health? And it is with this purpose that these 13 steps to bloody good health was written.
So, Mukeshbhai, amazing title, amazing collaboration with the author. Tell us a little bit how you became in touch with this particular author and how the whole collaboration took place with you and him.
Like I said, that we were family friends, and when I read his books, I kind of I approached him and we said, why don't we write one on health as well? And he said, look at me, I'm so grossly overweight. He really is, and he has all the bad habits that you can think of. He was a chain smoker. He drinks and all that, and not really bothered about his health, being more intellectual. But when he started writing this, he said that he came across in that 1.5 years of writing, he's actually lost 13 kilos of weight, and he's kind of, started leading a healthy life. So I think when you start thinking about it, you start kind of evolving as a person as well, and once you start writing, then those thoughts come to you and you start experiencing them. And once you start experiencing them, it can be a life-changing experience. And I think that's really how this book came about. And then, of course, we've held, we've been to book fest together. We've spoken at platforms promoting our book. And like I said, it's done very well in India, and it's also available on Amazon as an international edition,
Sure.
As well. So on to our next now till we write another one together.
Yes.
So far, we're happy to rest our laurels on this one.
Excellent. Now, you got some amazing points that you've covered in the 13 bloody good ways to get bloody healthy. I love that title because it just attracts everybody to that particular points that one may want to see. What are these points? So would you be, great. That's the 13 steps to bloody good health.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, this is, as you said, available on Amazon and anybody can order it. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Perfect. And it's available in English and Gujarati?
No,
or
right now only in English. Right now only in English.
Perfect. So I think most global audience can read English. So that would be an amazing book to get. You have some amazing topics that you've discussed in the book, and you have got amazing steps, the 13 ways. Would you be kind enough, I know we will read the book, I promise you, but would you be kind enough to share a few of those or all of those or whatever you find appropriate for the message for the audience who's listening to you today? What are those points that you can share with us, starting with the number one point, which you would say is the top for health and happy health?
So Lalit, I would say that there are many, many points. Like I said, of course, there are 13 of them, and to go through that, will take a lot of time. But what I'll do is I'll pick up some of them And as you said, start with the first point, which is really the most important, I think. And I think the first point that I'd like to stress on is that you must love yourself. You know, a lot of us, we neglect ourselves. If you are women, we want to look after our husbands, we want to look after our children, then we want to look after our grandchildren, but we don't worry about our health. We actually think that backaches and high migraines and headaches are kind of normal things of day-to-day living. And we try to live with it, you know. And I think, let me, say this, that if you saw this movie called Jab We Met, then there's a character of Kareena Kapoor, and she says, "Main apni favorite hoon." And I think that's what, yes, we should be. We should all be our own favorites, you know, because if we don't take care of ourselves, then we won't be able to take care of people around us. So the first thing is that you must invest in health, and you must invest time in yourself. We all may be very busy, but if we don't take out some amount of time to take care of our health, then we are going to have to pay a very heavy penalty. So the first message always is that don't invest in sickness, but invest in health, you know, and look at preventive health, look at looking after yourself, do the basic things right. And that's what the book is about. That's also all these steps are about. So if you do the basic things right, remember that you will be there long after your expensive handbag. Your handbag will wear out, but you are still there. So learn how to invest not in things, but in experiences, and in experiences that will enhance your health. So look at preventive health and try not to fall sick. So I think that's the first message, that love yourself, you know, and look after yourself very well. And I must also share here that in my 45 years of experience, I've seen so many, you know, young ladies particularly who have not got married because they've had some old father whom they have to look after, who's paralytic, who's bedridden, you know. So it actually affects people around you. So it's not just when you're talking about looking after yourself, you're then not only doing yourself a favor, but you're actually doing your family a favor. You're doing your community a favor, and you're doing your society a favor, because you're then bringing down the pressure on community health, the pressure on societal health, you know, and the amount of money that is spent on hospitalization all over in your country and across the world. So the first thing always is take care of yourself. Health, remember, is self-governed. Nobody can govern it for you. It cannot be governed by somebody else. You have to take care of yourself. You can't just pay money and say, "No, I have, kind of rehaul my body." It's not like a machine or like a car that you can take to a garage, you know, and say recycle it. It doesn't happen. You have to do it yourself. So that's the first point.
I love that, Mukeshbhai. And the one that always sticks to your mind is when you bring in Bollywood like Jab We Met. I am my favorite. I mean, what a more positive self-affirmation that one can use. And thank you for that. That's an amazing point, I think, that we all should be going through. Moving on to the second point of your good ways of health.
The second point is sleep. The first chapter in my book is on sleep. Now, you know, I joke and say that I kind of wrote it as the first chapter because if you can go through that chapter, then I know that the book is well written, you know. So I thought I'll kind of test the readers by putting that, as the first chapter. But that's actually not true. Let me tell you this. One can stay without food for 3 weeks. One can stay without water for 1 week. But one cannot stay without sleep for 3 days. This is medically proven. So sleep is so important. You know, when I was researching for this book, I realized that 93% of Indians are sleep deprived. Do you know that the world is actually going through a sleep deprivation crisis? And we are not even aware of it. We don't realize it. We don't think it's important enough. You know, sleep deprivation lowers immunity and it causes weight gain. Now, both these are important in COVID times. You want to make sure that you don't become obese because that's a comorbidity. And you want to make sure that your immunity is high. But if you don't sleep well, and what is really happening is that your sleep time is being replaced by screen time. So we're actually looking at blue light. We are kind of reading through the night. We are watching, OTT programs on television. And sometimes, unfortunately, bad news is good news. And so I'm saying you don't want to go to sleep with watching news as the last thing, because then you're probably going to get nightmares, you know. The The thing really is that the first thing to correct is to sleep well. Now, let me very quickly explain to you two parts of sleep. One is the qualitative and the other is the quantitative. The quantitative part is very easy because it's very personalized. You know, people say you must sleep 8 hours, you must sleep 10 hours, children must sleep more, but it's very personalized. I've seen people and yogis who only sleep 2 hours and they're absolutely fresh, you know. So it's a personal kind of habit. And I think an average is about 6 to 8 hours, but it varies from person to person. So I will not go into the quantity of sleep because it varies. I would like to talk about the quality of sleep. Now, you know, sleep is divided into two parts medically. One part is called the REM and the other is called the non-REM. The REM is rapid eye movement and the other is non-rapid eye movement. The non-rapid eye movement is the actually deep sleep. This is kind of the yogic sleep. This is the sleep that you get when you're kind of, you know, dead to the world. Now that part of sleep is very important because that is the time when your tissues get repaired. That's when you start rebooting your system. And which is why if you very often people say I sleep 10 hours, but I don't wake up fresh. That's because you're not getting enough of the non-REM sleep. So it's important to make sure that you get that sleep as well. And the other sleep, which is the REM, is also important because in REM, you're recalling. That's when you get your dreams. That's when you also, it's medically proven that that part of sleep also improves and gives you new skills. So both are important. So sleeping well is very, very important. Now, what can you do to sleep well? The first most important thing to understand that sleep is a habit. Now, you may like it or not, but it's like anything else. It's like the way you eat, the way you drink, the way you sleep. So you have to actually condition yourself to sleep well. You have to practice to sleep half an hour earlier every day if you're sleeping late. You have to practice to wake up half an hour later if you get up very early in the morning, and so on and so forth. So it comes with practice and it's a habit. So you have to cultivate it. Now, what is it that makes the habit better or worse? Few things that you can do. Number one is it has been medically proved that the best temperature for the human body at night when it is flat is 18 degrees Celsius. Now, I know that there's a lot of controversy about this. I know couples who sleep in separate rooms because the temperature is not right, because somebody wants it cold and somebody likes it hot and somebody likes it cold. So, you know, it's again a personal thing, but medically 18 degrees is the temperature with which you should sleep in the night that is best suited for your body. That's when you get the best sound sleep. Again, of course, you want to stay away from light and from noise. You know, these are all kind of external variable factors which can disturb your sleep. What is also important is, you know, we have time zones and people who travel, you know, they get sleep deprived. It's well known. But what is also important is that the way on which we sleep, like very often things like physical comfort, the mattress and the pillow, we get used to it. So if you go to another hotel and you sleep on a firmer mattress or your pillow is softer, you will not get good sleep. So, you know, making conditions around you, you know, very good and ideal for sleep is very important. Of course, there are many natural medicines like melatonin available. There are homeopathic medicines like Califos available to make sure that you get good sleep, which are non-addictive and have no side effects. But most medicines are addictive and they have side effects, chemical medicines. So they're not advised unless you actually need it and unless you go to a doctor and consult. So this is my take on sleep. And I'm saying that's really a very, very important thing which is ignored at today's times.
Dr. Batra, you hit the nail on the head just as you started the topic on sleep. We spend more sleep time, which is, we don't actually, the sleep time is replaced by screen time. And today in this modern day and the technology that we have, that is so, so true. It is very difficult to get away from technology and all these emails and the social media that we have. So on that sleep portion, I have two questions for you, if that's okay with you, if I take a question now. Is that okay?
Of course, certainly.
Number one, how do we then regulate the sleep time by staying away from this? Because today we are expected to answer the email promptly. We want to message the other person, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Snapchat, and others that I don't even know. How do we do these things? How do you take control of that?
So I think the first part of your question is that social media is not really social, it's unsocial. Okay. And Instagram is not necessarily instant. It can happen anytime. I think if you understand these two things, I think you'll get an answer to your question. All right. It's not necessary that I must respond immediately. Okay. I don't have to be on the, it's not fastest finger first. It's not required. But if I want to think it's very important and then I lose my sleep over it because I want to respond immediately, I mean, I need to learn not to do it. Again, like I said, it's a habit, and you want to make sure that you don't get into these kind of things. So there's no sense of urgency. There's no sense of, you don't have to reply right now, and it's not even important, because I'm saying, as a doctor, you would know, and I would say, I mean, nobody's dying at the other end, so if they just want to know which party you went to, what food you ate, it can wait.
Sure.
And so sleep comes first. So
Yeah.
sleep comes first.
Sleep comes first. My second question to you is,
Yes.
Dr. Batra, with the amount of achievements you have had, you are one of the only 4 homeopaths, I believe, if I stand corrected, of the Padma Shri Award that has been awarded by the government of India, the highest accolade that the government offers. Obviously, through the achievements that you have made, you are currently the owner of the highest number of homeopathic clinics all around the world. Your name is synonymous with homeopathy. Obviously, you didn't do this by sleeping 8 or 10 hours every night. How many hours do you sleep?
I sleep 8 or 10 hours every night, and I sleep very well.
How many?
I sleep 8 to 10 hours every night, and I sleep very well. I don't lose sleep over my work. I think I have 2 compartments very clearly. One is work, and I used to work 9 to 6 when I used to work. Even as a doctor, I used to see 300 patients a day. But now, of course, I'm retired and I don't see patients. But at that time, when I used to see patients, I used to see 325 patients a day with, of course, a team of doctors. But I used to see them within fixed timings, and I never carried any stress home. So I made sure that once I reached home, then I was cut off from everything else. I did not answer telephones. I did not, answer emails, nothing till the next morning, So everything was done. So I didn't carry any stress home. And I think that's the lesson to learn, that there are lots of problems, but you don't have to worry about them. A lot of them take care of themselves, and certainly you don't need to carry them to bed, and you don't need to carry them to home, at home. And in my case, it's even more difficult because my son is also in the same company, and he's now the managing director and the vice chairman of the company, and he kind of runs it with a professional team of CEOs. And so it's very easy to bring that, over a dining table and actually talk about work. But we consciously make sure we don't do it. So I think keep your work in your office and keep your home for yourself.
So very well structured life. So before we move on, there's a lovely question that has come up on the chat box by a lovely lady in regards to sleep. Kirti is saying, is it good to read before you go to sleep?
Yes, Kirti, I think it's okay. It's not bad to read as long as you're not reading too much. So again, you need to time yourself. You need to make sure that if you read for half an hour or 45 minutes and kind of it lulls you to sleep, and it's a nice book, but if it's so interesting that you can't put it down, like 13 Steps to Bloody Good Health, then it may actually not allow you to sleep. So you got to make sure that you know where to draw the line.
Brilliant. So you've already covered some 2 amazing topics: love yourself, sleep well. Now, to run this engine, the human engine, is the next 3rd step. Would you share that with us, please?
Sure. I'm saying, they say food is medicine and you are what you eat. So it's very, very important that you eat well and that you eat correctly. And, I believe that lots of these habits are inculcated from childhood. We always say that our mother is the best cook because, our taste buds get used to that kind of cooking that we are used to from childhood, But all these habits of whether you're eating parathas for breakfast or whether you're eating so much of butter on top, all of that are inculcated in childhood, and then a lot of them live with us. So getting the right habits of eating right from a young age is very important. And most often it's the lady of the house who actually is responsible and inculcates it. So you'll find if the lady of the house is kind of very, finicky about food, she will only make healthy food for everybody else at home. And the whole family is healthy. So, like they say that a family which prays together stays together. I mean, I would say a family which eats together stays healthy, because then they all eat the right kind of food and there's a community dinner. The best food that you can eat is not fast food, because that is going to, take you down the fast lane to death very quickly. The best way to actually eat food is homemade food, ghar ka khana, warm food, freshly made, preferably organic, and all these have got health benefits. I'd just like to, mention here that Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, who founded homeopathy, was a German doctor. In his book, he wrote that every man's stomach is like his foot. So just like how one shoe does not fit everybody. So he was against universal diets. So this whole thing of going for a fixed diet, and saying that, everybody must eat this. It's not correct. I mean, somebody likes something particular. Somebody likes a bangan, somebody doesn't like a bangan. Somebody likes a lady finger, somebody doesn't like okra. There are all different kinds of, personal tastes and dislikes that people have about food. So it's very important to actually look at bespoke diets. What is the diet that will suit you? Not a universal diet. Universal diets don't work. Yes, there can be a philosophy of a universal diet. I'm reminded of an interesting kind of incident. One of my patients came to me and once asked me that, doc, if I have this pizza, should I cut it into 4 slices or 8 slices? What should I eat? And then of course the answer was 4, because he thought that he would eat less 4 versus 8, but it's going to be the same amount because the size was going to be bigger. So really in food, we always like to hear what we want to hear, and there's very little regulation about food. So I think being self-disciplined about food, I sometimes think that food is not about medicine. A lot of it is about mathematics. I believe that you count the calories that you eat, intake, and you count the calories that you expend. And if your expenditure is more than your intake or it is balanced, you're going to be healthy. If you're going to eat less, you're going to be undernourished. You're going to eat more, you're going to be overnourished. So I think that's the, the general kind of formula that one needs to say. And again, I'm reminded of a wit who actually said that he went on a diet for 2 weeks, and he said, all I lost was 14 days. So, fat diets and crash diets actually don't work. It's best to change your food habits, to start eating healthy. Look at, don't avoid processed foods, avoid sweeteners as far as possible, avoid sodas. These are all things which are harmful for health. And like I said, if you eat ghar ka khana, normal food, you're going to be good. So just go with that. The best example of good food, and I can see a lot of Indians here, is actually Indian thali, because it actually caters to every kind of nutritional value, and it also looks at all the tastes, because you have a little bit of salt, a little bit of meetha chutney, a little bit of undia, a little bit of achar. It has a little bit of sour, salty, spicy, sweet. So all your taste buds get. Now this is something which is written in all our textbooks more than 2,000 years. But today we don't follow it because we want to get into a fast food joint, want to pick up a hamburger. So I think going back to what we used to do earlier and inculcating those habits and then living with them and imbibing them, I think you're going to be healthy. But it's very important to understand that food is very important, because today a lot of our food is also contaminated. Today lots of steroids are used in to make animals thicker. So you're really taking in all the harmful things. So much of pesticide is used in food. So getting the right kind of food, organic food, is something which is very important. And I think you must really look at food as a very, very important part of staying healthy and staying fit.
That's amazing share of food. And couple points that would love to just share once again is I love the statement you made, Mukeshbhai, about eating together. We are having community and family health together. And food being a mathematical equation is the best way to say whatever calorie intake we have, we should have a greater calorie expenditure or equal to, and that will mean good health. Well explained. Moving on from food, my God, this is 80% or 70% of our body. You're talking on to the next topic of what is for good health. Can you share that with us?
Of course, Lalit, that is water, as you said. And water is 3/4 of the earth, and it's also a lot of our body. And therefore, it needs to be, we need to rehydrate. So we need to make sure that we have enough water. It's not necessarily just that we should drink water, but of course, 7-8 glasses. And I'm glad, Meera is doing it right now. it's great to hydrate yourself. Yes, and you too as well. It's nice to hydrate yourself at regular intervals, but 7 to 8 glasses a day is good. Hey, all of them, I think, and I hope that you've got only water and nothing else in it, Lalit.
Only
so,
water.
so cheers. So, so I think we need to hydrate ourselves. We need to drink enough water, and remember that water is also good to get rid of toxins, because when you drink water, then your kidneys kind of detoxify your system. So it's important to do that. It's not just only water that that has a lot of water in it, is hygroscopic, but there are also certain fruits and vegetables, and let's note them down. Watermelon has got a lot of water intake. Oranges, cucumber, and strawberries. I mean, these are 4 kind of fruits and vegetables that you can eat, which will actually replenish also your water intake. I think 2 things I want to say about water. I mean, there's a lot to say. Like I'm saying, each of these one can talk for an hour, but I want to stick to the timing that we have. So the 2 things that I want to talk about water really is, number one, the use of plastics in water. We've actually commercialized water to such an extent that we are now putting in plastic bottles. Now, plastic bottles, when they are out in the sun, actually can cause cancer and lead to cancer. And we don't realize it. We keep these bottles in a car, and the car is out in the sun, and we leave it there for days. And then we come out from the heat, and then we say, oh my, we are so thirsty, open it. And that's not right. You must carry your water in either glass bottles or in steel bottles, and that's one strong message that I want to give. Because a lot of us feel that, I'm always drinking a lot of water because I carry these little plastic bottles wherever I go. So understand that drinking water out of plastic is not a great idea. Number 2 is that RO water and bottled water is not really as good as natural water. So really what you should really do is, because it depletes the water from minerals. The mineral count is very less. So the best way is, again, the old traditional way of boiling water till it really boils and then straining it. So boiling and straining is the best way. And of course, in my place here, where I'm now in my little home in Goa, I have my own well. And so I actually drink well water every day, so it's like a spring water. So natural spring water is, again, fabulous. You don't need to treat it at all. So I think this is what you should keep in mind. And, so drink enough water, but not in plastic.
Now, Mukeshbhai, you're making us a bit jealous and telling us you're drinking kuanu pani.
Yeah, kuano pani. That's right. Yeah, that's true.
So that's the most natural water you can get, and how healthy you can be with that. One question before we jump off from the topic of water. You mentioned using steel bottles or glass bottles, but definitely not plastic. A lot
Yes.
of people feel having water from a copper bottle or a copper cup or a copper jug. What's your views on that?
So it's supposed to be healthy, and I think it's good, except that in homeopathy, we also believe in copper poisoning over a period of time. So if you do it for very long and too much of it, then, you can actually get constipated, and your kind of intestines become very slow. The peristaltic movement gets lost. So we do believe that only in homeopathy, but otherwise, generally speaking, if you keep a glass of a copper vessel at night and you drink just that 1 tumbler of water every morning, it's healthy.
Great. And Dr. Batra, one question that people often ask: for a normal human body, what is the literage consumption that one should have? Again, it depends on the hot climate, cooler climate, but on average, what
Like I
should
said,
one
it's-
person drink?
So 7 to 8 liters, is really, 7 to 8 glasses in a day, not liters, 7 to 8 glasses. So, convert that into liters.
About a liter and a half, maybe?
Probably 2 liters probably. But like I said, it's very, very, very individualistic. I mean, lots of people don't drink enough water, but it's not just water that you need to drink, but you can have it in juices. You can have it, like I said, in fruit, in watermelon. If you have it for breakfast every morning, then you're also replenishing your water even in that manner.
Brilliant.
You can have it in soup. So I'm saying there are different ways. It's not just water as the way we think of it.
Perfect. Now, moving on to the next, which is your 6th point on good health. Would you take us through that one now?
So, this is something, Lalit, that should interest you, because it is exercise. And I've just remember, there's a dean in a law school in America who said, whenever I feel like exercise, I lie down and let the feeling pass away. But there are a lot of problems, including backache, and sitting is a new smoking now. And because more of us are working from home now, this is becoming even worse. So getting up every 20 minutes, taking short walks, just a little round, coming and sitting down again, and maybe like walking 30 minutes every day, or doing your 10,000 steps. I saw Meena Ben doing it in the wonderful garden, and then coming back and singing a song. So I'm saying there can be nothing better than that, that you walk and then you sing. It's great. So it gives you physical and mental, peace both. So yes, you must walk every day. Walking is the best exercise, because lots of other exercises, one thing is aerobic, which is walking, and the other is strength building. So both are important. And as you're growing older, you need to have stronger muscles as well. But you should not overdo it. You should do it, under supervision, and you should be careful about not over exercising, because can you imagine that, if, at a later age, if you over exercise and you sprain your muscle and then you're in bed for another 2 months, I'm saying it's just not worth it. So which is why I say that, walking, level walking, flat walking is really one of the best exercises that one can do at any age. And also just to talk about this, talking about exercise, and just before this, we spoke about food. I'd just like to say that the best exercise for obesity is to nod your head from side to side. So say no when food comes before you. Okay, so that's the best exercise. Yes, Meena Ben, that's the best exercise. Nod your head from side to side, especially when all the lovely, wonderful food comes before you, right? So that's about exercise. We can go ahead now.
Yes, Dr. Batra, that would be a very good exercise for your neck, to keep your neck in good motion, to keep saying
yes.
no this way. Yeah, you're very right in saying, I think with food, it's always that temptation to eat. But I think rather than exercising the mouth muscles, we should be exercising the neck muscles when that comes through. So very very wise advice that you've given us over there. Meera, you're putting your hand on your head. We all love food, I know. Okay, moving on to the next one, which is also the most amazing health tip that you're going to share, Dr. Batra. Please go ahead and tell us, what should we do after all these exercises that we do? How can we, our body is the missing link that you've got to fill in.
Relax.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's important. So today there is so much of stress, so much of anxiety, so much of uncertainty with life. We don't know what's going to happen with COVID. We don't know when it's going to end. There are so many job losses. There are so many, disruptions in human life. The way we used to live before and what is the new normal now. So there's a lot of anxiety. And I think it's very important that one should learn how to calm down. One must learn how to relax. So things like breathing exercises, anulom vilom, asanas, yoga, meditation, all of this is something which is very important, because there's a very, very deep connect between the mind and the body. Let's not forget that lots of problems that appear physical are actually psychosomatic. So you may get a backache, but you also get a backache also because you're stressed out, because your neck muscles go into a spasm, or because your back muscles go into a spasm because you're stressed. So I think learning how to live life in the slow lane, not really worrying too much, okay, I think is very important. I just like to quote here Jiddu Krishnamurti, who said, most of us are frightened of dying. Most of us are frightened of dying because we don't know what it means to live.
Wow.
And I'd like to hum 2 lines of another very interesting song, which actually, that's the essence of this philosophy and thought as well. आने वाला पल जाने वाला है, आने वाला पल जाने वाला है, हो सके तो इसमें जिंदगी बिता दो, पल ये जो जाने वाला है, हो आने वाला पल जाने वाला है. So why worry? Learn how to live for the moment. And I think if you learn how to live for the moment, where you forget your past, everybody has a past. We all have a past. Even I have worries. Even I have stress. Even I've been through a lot of failures in life. But let's keep it aside. Okay, if you brood over them, you are not going to enjoy it today. Remember, that is why it is called the present, because it's a gift from God. So you must learn how to live it well. And don't lose your present because of the fear of the future or because of the thoughts of the past. So this is really what I want to say. And if I may come to the last part of my talk again, and then I think we'll still have a few minutes to take questions and answers. Like I said, I'm very conscious about the time that we have. I don't want to exceed it. So the last part that I like to talk about is contentment. It's very important to understand that contentment is the way to happiness. Very often, we always say, and there's an English saying, unfortunately, which says that the grass is always greener on the other side. I mean, you can see this. What are the fights that we have? We have it with our cousins. We have it because we are jealous. We have it because we are overambitious. We have it because we're not satisfied with what we have. We want more. There's greed, there's jealousy. And when you have all of this, you are never happy. And when you're not happy, then your body is also going to give way. So remember that. And there was a Harvard case study that was done. And it actually showed that one of the strongest reasons to be happy and to live a happy life is to build strong relationships. So even if you have that one strong relationship, whether it is with your mother, your father, your husband, your wife, your son, your daughter, or even with your dog or your pet, that one strong relationship will keep you happy. So develop relationships and keep them going if you want to be happy and if you want to be healthy. So that's, and medically also, we have found that happiness gives rise to two happy hormones called oxytocin and endorphins. These are happy hormones, and they get released, every time you give. So again, you have the Asian Foundation, and I was so impressed to hear all the wonderful work that you're doing. But I always say this, I have my own foundation, a very small foundation called Dr. Batra's Foundation, and we also reach out. We run 133 free clinics in India. We reach out to a lot of education and health as well in many ways. We just distributed, more than 10 million doses free to poor people as a preventive for COVID. So we do these kind of things. But let me say, I always say this to myself, that every time we give, we are actually helping ourselves, because it makes you feel good, and it releases your happy hormones. It keeps you happy, it keeps you healthy. So you're not doing anybody a favor, and the best that you can give is the joy of giving yourself. So it's not just checkbook charity, but every time you give a little bit of yourself, and I remember, and I think Lalit will kind of, there's another saying which says, इतने हिस्सों में बट गया हूं मैं, इतने हिस्सों में बट गया हूं मैं कि खुद के हिस्से में कुछ बचा ही नहीं. There cannot be anything better than that. So finally, I'd like to, I'm reminded of my mother. She's long dead and gone, but she's inculcated lots of very strong values in the family and in me. And so I would like to, kind of talk with a little quote that she always used to tell us as kids. And I'd like to, also mention that over here before I close. Life is an echo. Life is an echo. All comes back. Life is an echo. All comes back. The good, the false, the true. So give the world the best you have, and the best will come back to you. Remember that if you have positive thoughts, there are more than 50,000 thoughts that we get in our brain every day. If you have positive thoughts, happy thoughts, and when you're giving them to the world is going to give them back to you. So I'd like to end with a little wish that I have for my grandson. And I, also wish this for all members of the Asian Foundation and for all our friends who are listening to us today and across the world. And I'll end with these two lines. It's an old Kishore Kumar number. आ चल के तुझे मैं लेके चलूं एक ऐसे गगन के तले जहां गम भी न हो आंसू भी न हो बस प्यार ही प्यार पले एक ऐसे गगन के तले एक ऐसे गगन के तले एक ऐसे गगन के तले. And I hope that with this profound wish of happiness for all of us, that we will all be able to pick up at least one lesson from whatever we have spoken today and actually lead our lives in a bloody, well, healthy, and happy way. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. This was mind-blowing. Mukeshbhai, the last quote you gave about your very respected mother as to life is an echo, it all comes back. The good, the false, and the true. So why don't you just give the best out there? You will get the best in return. Wow. We will definitely quote you on this. I'm actually thinking I'm missing out everything you're saying while I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on. I'm going to review this talk again, listen to this over and over again, because the jewels you have shared with us, oh my God, this is mind-blowing. I think we need more time. We need each topic that you've spoken about was just absolutely basic, but it's the basics that we need to learn more. And guys, everybody who's listening to this on social media, on Facebook, and wherever on Zoom, this is the bloody good book to get to remain bloody good healthy with the 13 simple ways to do that. So once again, thank you very much. I'm going to say to everybody who's listening to us on the Zoom, the chat box is open. Please post your questions. In fact, we've already got a few questions that have come. Dr. Batra, is that okay if I start taking some questions from the audience here? Yes, is that okay if I take some questions?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So the first question I will say is there was a lady who has questioned Naina. She's saying about the sleep time. And she says, what about the kids these days who party very late and sleep very late and wake up very late? How would you help, or what sort of advice would you give for those parents and children?
My advice is not for children. My advice is only for parents. Like I said in the beginning, that we need to make sure that we have to be self-governed. Health is self-governed. And I remember this from my 45 years of practice, that, mothers would come to me and say, please tell my son not to eat ice cream because he falls sick after that every time he eats. Why can't you tell them? You're the mother. I think, getting discipline in your children and making sure that they have correct timings over a period of time. I'm saying, you have to give them, not be very strict with them, but you have to be firm. And you have to tell them that there are certain regulations of, like you can, party late a little, sometimes, but you can't do it on weekdays. Maybe on the weekend you can do it. So just letting them have the little bit of fun, but not crossing the line. And I think, parents or grandparents really are the best people to inculcate these values in children. I'm saying no doctor can advise you on this.
Brilliant. We've got an amazing comment here. And this was something that I also wanted to mention to you, Dr. Batra. We know your relaxation method for sure. You love singing. Vandana Sethi also says that lovely to hear a singing doctor. And she says a lot about the way of life should be lived. Thank you, Dr. Batra. So absolutely develop a hobby for relaxation, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I've seen that, as you go higher and higher in life, okay, you get more and more lonely. I've actually seen the top CEOs. I've seen the top, I don't know, but I've treated, like, I'm sure you have as well, all the top leaders in the world,
Yes.
and that when they reach that stage, then you become isolated. Now, if you're a CEO of a large company, or if you're, the president of a country or the prime minister, you then get less and less time to yourself, and very often you kind of get withdrawn, so it's very, very important. Therefore, that is the time when, and I've seen lots of, top doctors actually taking to music or any hobby. So if you have a hobby, it keeps you engaged, then you have, for example, if you retire, and even when you retire, you will then, your brain cells will start dying out fast because you're not really using them. But if you have a hobby, if you're playing music, or if you're singing, or doing photography, or doing gardening, or doing anything else that you like, then you're occupying yourself usefully, and it then gives you a sense of worth, and it also occupies your mind. So it keeps you young, it keeps you fresh. It's very important to have a hobby which helps you not so much in your younger days, but certainly in your older age.
Absolutely correct. Thank you for sharing that. We've got a wonderful comment from a gentleman in Leicester in the United Kingdom. His name is Dushyant Tanna. I think you may be able to read his comment too. He says, very informative and very useful tips to be healthy. And he wants to thank absolutely the Asian Foundation for doing that. Dushyant, thank you very much for praising the Asian Foundation, as they do a wonderful job. And we are soon about to hear from two wonderful people who are with the Asian Foundation, Mr. Hasubai Devani, and actually the founder member also has logged in with us, a huge philanthropist gentleman, Dr. Batra, somebody who you would want to absolutely listen to, meet, Mr. Manubhai Chandaria. We will be coming to that in just a few minutes. A couple more questions that have come up over here, a little bit more about homeopathy, if that's okay with you. Yeah.
Certainly.
So,
I thought you were saving it for another day.
But we'd love your, it's not very often that we get a world-renowned, a globally renowned homeopath with us. So we want to get as much information out of you as we can today. So the question goes, with the current COVID climate that we have, would you give us some golden rules or golden tips and what you think about COVID-19 and how homeopathy would help? And you just earlier mentioned about the 10 million doses that you've given. What was it that you gave out to the underprivileged population about COVID?
Okay, so everybody knows what one should do for external measures to kind of prevent yourself from COVID. So things like wearing masks when you go out, using sanitizers, social distancing. I won't call it social distancing, I would call it physical distancing, because it's not social. On the contrary, you can be in touch with your friends through Zoom, and the way we are now connecting all over the globe. So it's not really social distancing, but it's physical distancing. I'm saying those are all general things that you must keep going to kind of prevent COVID. Let me talk about one. My experience has been 2 or 3 things. Number one is that the one thing that the COVID has brought about very glaringly is that hardly any country was actually prepared for it. And it actually exposed the weakness in the healthcare system. And this happened in countries which are not developed well. It also happened in countries which are developed well. Second thing was that it kind of brought out the closeness between life and livelihood. How closely are they related? That we have to keep both going, And the third thing that I found was that it also exposed a lot of inequalities. If you actually study global, pandemics all over and the way it's coming, you'll find that people who are in poorer, poorer housing, who are living together, have actually suffered more. It was the kind of affluent travelers who brought it in, but ultimately the larger numbers are coming from, the poorer areas. So inequality is one thing that's actually, bringing it out. And the second is comorbidity. So anybody who's a particular age, and people who've got diabetes and obesity are people who are actually then suffering more, or kind of succumbing to it. So therefore, what has got to be the thought? The thought really has to be that you have to build immunity. That's the fundamental thought. So how do you build immunity? And how does homeopathy look at it is what I like to talk about. Now, homeopathy believes that there are two sides to an equation. On one side, you have the virus or the bacteria. In this case, is the virus. And it depends on the virulence of the virus. How strong is that virus? And you know that viruses keep changing, you know, that they keep evolving, you know. And on the other side, you have the immunity of the host, you know. Let me tell you that the human body has more than 1 million bacteria and virus at any given time. So it's not that all of them are bad. You know, we take probiotics, you know, we want to keep the enzyme level balanced. I remember my pathology professor almost 45 years ago telling me that just take one extra chapati for the worm. That's it. So just have symbiosis with the kind of, you know, a balance, like you have an ecological balance, you have a physical balance with your bacteria in your system, and don't really worry about it. They're not all negative. Okay. So you have to, you have to build specific immunity, and B, you have to build general immunity. Now, general immunity in homeopathy, you can only build over a period of time. You can build it when you're healthy, not when you're sick. You build it through what we call a constitutional treatment, where you consult a homeopath personally, who takes your whole history. How do you sleep? How do you eat? What do you like? You know, including your social behavior, including your mental behavior, emotional behavior. I'm saying all of that is like a 1 hour consultation minimum. And then you find a medicine that suits only you. Okay. And then that medicine will, over a period of time, build your immunity. And therefore, you are not likely to fall sick or fall less sick if you get hit by some kind of virus. That's one part. The other part is a specific immunity. Now, the specific immunity, according to Hahnemann, he called something called genus epidemicus. He said that you could actually have a specific medicine for a particular epidemic. Now, please understand, in different areas, this could be different, because depending on the way the epidemic manifests itself. But there's a history of homeopathy for more than 250 years to have worked very, very effectively in epidemics, right from Spanish flu. In Spanish flu, the mortality, according to the normal medication, Mira, just for you and your allopathic friends, was 30%, while the mortality with homeopathy was 1.05%, right? We are talking about 100 years ago. All right. Now, similar thing happened in Cuba. In leptospirosis, a homeopathic medicine was used and millions of people were helped. We used homeopathy in Andhra Pradesh for Japanese encephalitis, which is like a brain viral fever, where so many kids died. We gave 1 million doses at that time. This was a few years ago. Not a single child developed brain fever. So there are many examples of using homeopathy successfully. Now, this time in March, the Ayush Ministry, which is like the alternative health ministry in India, did some research, and they then said that for this particular epidemic in India, the homeopathic medicine arsenic alp 30, if you take one dose for 3 consecutive days, it will build your immunity for 1 month. And if you need to, you then repeat it again. So this is the specific immunity. And this is the medicine that we have given to all the frontline workers. We have given them to 320,000 Maharashtra police officials and constables all over the state to prevent them. We have given it to frontline people in hospitals, and we have given them to lots of corporates as well. So this is the specific medicine that we are using in India. Now, it may or may not work in other countries. Now, if the manifestation of the virus is exactly the same or similar, it'll work. But if it is different, then you may need something else. So this is really how homeopathy can help. The second part, which also we have missed here talking about, is that during this period, there's also been a lot of mental health issues. So I think 2 ways in which homeopathy can definitely help. One is building specific and general immunity. And the second one is to improve mental health of people and help them to cope with it. According to the Indian Psychology Association, cases of depression has gone up by 20% during the lockdown. In America, almost from 18% to 38% has been the increase in patients of anxiety during lockdown. So it's more than doubled. And can you imagine 1/3 of the population suffering from anxiety? I mean, those who are actually under lockdown. Now, homeopathy is mind and body medicine. So it helps very well, and it's not addictive and it has no side effects, So it can be used for these two things very, very specifically and very well. I think that's my answer to.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think this information session can carry on and on. I've received about 12 WhatsApp questions, and on my email also I've received quite a few. But I think time is always of an issue. We are running fast out of time. We have two lovely gentlemen who we would love to, first of all, thank you on behalf of the Asian Foundation, Dr. Batra. And then the next person is actually Mr. Hasubhai Devani, a philanthropist gentleman, a gentleman who is doing so much for the community in Kenya, in Africa, and globally. He is well known, like you respect your mother and quoted her. This gentleman, Mr. Hasubhai Devani's whole foundation is, with all due respect to his mother, Ganga Ben Devani. And we used to call her Ganga Masi Devani because I was a little kid and I still remember Ganga Masi. So Hasubhai is one gentleman who is amazingly moving mountains in Africa, currently the chairperson of the Asian Foundation of Kenya. I would like Mr. Hasubhai to say a final few words to Dr. Batra. Hasubhai, if you can unmute yourself, or Meena Ben, can you unmute him, please? Thank you, Hasubhai.
Thank you, Lalit. Mukeshbhai, what a wonderful treat for us. We are all a student of naturopathy and yogic science. In fact, Ramdevji has come and stayed with us, and we conducted a yoga camp here in Kenya a few years ago. You know, we were not missing homeopathy. We felt we were part of naturopathy as well. So wonderful and excellent singing, which was a bonus for us. So thank you very much. And it seems that if you are such a good singer, such a good doctor, even your books would be wonderful. We would definitely like to sort of go through them. You touched a very critical subject of COVID, and we are in process of building teams here of volunteers. Basically, it's an advocacy team. The objectives are very different. First of all, we want to see how we can help them to prevent the cure. There is a lot of anxiety, and people are fearing this particular virus. So how they can be spoken to, and how they can be given the right advice, so that that fear does not bring them down. Also, taking samples is a big issue. You know, if you go to our best hospital, Nairobi Hospital, you will be in the queue for 3 to 4 hours before your turn comes for even taking a sample. So we are in the process of training various youngsters who can go to individual homes, take these samples, take it to the prescribed laboratories for results, and then they go back with the results and talk to the family. Because how to interpret the results and so on. And it's not only the results, they can also counsel them as to how to handle the case at home, because we have very few hospitals which are already full. What sort of food they should eat, what sort of exercise, as you mentioned, what sort of resting time, how to distance themselves, and all the other things, so that this fear of corona is less, plus they are able to deal with it on a regular basis or in a right way. So we thank you very much. Your sort of suggestion on loving your self or your life or people around you is very important. Sleep, of course, right type of sleep is important. And food. We all love our Tarelu food and so on. And you know, you don't have to, most of these people on TV or on our screen are nice models, but unlike us who are already heavyweight. Water and exercise, but the contentment is very important, because you know, one of the foundation on which Asian Foundation is built, and Manubhai will throw more light, but is what we are saying is human beings are social creatures, and concern for each other is very basic of our life together. So that if we care for other lives, it gives you contentment itself. Yes, a good dog and a good family and friends, definitely. But if you are able to do something for we can do for ourselves, but can we do for somebody else? And that gives you the satisfaction and contentment you are looking for. I think what we say is that since at the beginning and the end of our lives, we are so dependent on others' kindness. But during that time, middle age, why do we forget, that we are also part of the same family, we are living together, we are part of the same community. Can we not do something? So cultivating a close, warm-hearted feeling for others automatically puts you in that different frame of mind. And we really appreciate your point on that one. Asian Foundation, Mira has covered most of the point. We basically non-profit making, non-religious and non-political organization. We are guided by 3 advisories: the Council of Elders, the Leaders Forum, and the Professional Group. And these are voluntaries and people like Manubhai and others. They are on both of our main committee and the council. And we feel that we are able to bring in all the people together. Our main job is to unite the Asian communities and work together. When Modi ji came to Kenya, we were able to bring over 900 volunteers and attract over 21,000 people to attend the function. And it was planned over 3 weeks, including collecting the funds and so on. So we have always been very much helped by our elders, and that Council of Elders definitely helps us. So we want to really thank you very much, Mukeshbhai, for being with us today. It's a wonderful topic. The topic of naturopathy and yogic science, there's no end to it. We are, even at this age, we enjoy our Surya Namaskar, and we always talk about naturopathy. We are also looking at putting up a wellness clinic at New Jalaram Center, which is being built here, which will be costing almost $20 million, which is being put together by Asian community under the Jalaram brand name. We want to thank all the participants today. They have been absolutely wonderful, and our good friends like Dushyant and others. It's nice to see that they are all participating. And the Lalit Bhai, wonderful job as usual. And Minaben, we are so grateful that you are bringing Asian Foundation into this sort of things, giving us a chance to work with bigger people. We see a lot of friends on the screen, so our namaste to all of them, and we have really enjoyed this session very much. I'm sure people will make good use of it, and we would like you to hear more from you about various other things on living a healthy life. So everybody, thank you for being with us today, and Lalit Bhai, Pinaben, we appreciate your support and all the help. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hasubhai. A pleasure to listen to you with all the good work and the good deeds that you do. I'm proud to say that today I'm talking to all my father's respected friends like Hasubhai. Mukeshbhai is also, I only know Dr. Batra through my dad. So an amazing personality. And again, Meenaben through my parents. And the next speaker, Mr. Manubhai Chandaria, was also a very, very good friend of my late father. So the next speaker, Mr. Manubhai Chandaria, who is very well known in the African subcontinent and also globally with all the good work that he does. Really good charitable causes. He's got Chandaria foundations through schools, through hospitals, through senior citizen centers, and through so much that he does with the amount of wealth he has really given it back to the community. This fine, I would like to say a young gentleman, but a senior gentleman doing so much work for the global community. And I would like to invite the founder person for the Asian Foundation, Mr. Manubhai Chandaria, to say a few words to you, Dr. Batra, and let us know a little bit more about it. Manubhai, welcome on the floor, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Soda. Thank you, Minaben. And thank you, Dr. Batra. Dr. Batra, you were very clear in some of your issues. To keep the health good is not an easy job. But there was one subject which came down, and I was just reading an article from which was written in 1889. And it talks about the contentment. And you talked about how the people should remain content. It says the right way to be the rich is never to want what you cannot buy. Then you are always have as much money that you want. This is the easy way. No man can regulate the content of his purse. Every man can regulate the quality of his desires. Capital is not within everybody's attainment. Contentment is. Is wealthy who has learned the two arts. First, how to be contented with what one has, and second, how to use what he has. I think that it makes a lot of possibility of the contentment in our life. All other are there, but this is the what they call rat race. And unless and until we can realize that particular part and bring, by the time you go to sleep, that feeling that you've done the best. And to be remain content is not that easy, because you always want to compete with somebody else. But at the end of the day, you are the master of yourself. Nobody else can regulate you unless you regulate yourself. And thank you very much for telling us and talking to us. Thank you.
Manubhai, thank you very much. We really appreciate you to be coming here. We respect your health and everything. And you've taken this time to come up and meet with Dr. Batra and meet with all the audience on Zoom and global. So once again, thank you for taking that time and coming to us, Manubhai.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. Now, we come to a lovely closure to our event today. Have had an amazing, awesome time with Dr. Batra's health tips, and he has given us amazing tips. I think this is one seminar should be repeated, listening to it again on the social media and collecting the information that Dr. Batra has shared with us. So before we end today's event, the final thank you cannot be ended the show before Meena Ben does her final thank you. So Meena Ben, thank you from you to Dr. Batra.
Mukeshbhai, this is for you. Hi, मर जाएंगे हम तो लुटे जाएंगे ऐसी बातें किया ना करो आज जाने की जिद ना करो आज जाने की जिद ना करो. This is for you, for as you deal with the herbs and everything. My last duty, humble duty, to say thank you very much. Thank you very much, Manubhai, thank you, Asmukbhai, thank you, Meera, all from Asian Foundation for supporting us. On behalf of Lalit Bhai and myself, I would also like to thank Ellie. I would like to thank you, Dr. Mukesh Bhai. Once again, you will come and give us a good time. This time it will be a little less. Yes. I would like to thank all of you. And I also like to remember Ganga Masi.
Oh.
Ganga Masi was a Ganga Masi. I have played in their lap, the father. And anybody who would say, કે જોઈએ છે તો તો ગંગા માસીને કયો. She has supported 2,500 wells. That is something. Kuwa, Nakra, not only your one kuwa, 2,500 kuwa all over Kenya is something. Thank you very much. We are very proud of you, Mukeshbhai and family. Thank you all for coming. Goodbye. And now we will just mingle. Go offline. We'll go
Okay,
offline.
before we
for
end, Minabel, we need
now.
Ali, we need